Alright, what's up y'all, LakerFan here. As actually about to title today's video, the patch for Season 3 just dropped in NBA 2K23, and what I want to show you first and foremost that is crazy because I just made the video on this a couple days ago with the controller settings is, I'm loading the game up, and as you're going to see, my controller settings are actually saved. I have shot meter off already, I have all my defensive assist and box out assist strength all set to 0, pass target profile settings and stuff like that changed as well. Everything now saves for this, but there's even more to this update in this patch as well. On top of that, we have off-ball adrenaline not being burnt. Now, I truly do believe this is the patch that is going to save this game, and I don't even think this game was in a bad spot beforehand, if you ask me. I actually was pretty big fan of just how the game moves, how the game plays, all types of stuff like that. The one that I'm not a fan of, though, is the off-ball adrenaline burning, but as you can see, I'm over here, like, tapping the RT. I got it held, I'm still sprinting. If I'm not sprinting, this is what it looks like, obviously, as you can see. And, I mean, I can literally sprint around the court and literally not lose adrenaline at all. And you can run in multiple different directions, you can do little dexes and stuff like that, juking back and forth, as you can see. This might be a big deal for off-ball, like slippery off-ball and off-ball pest. This actually goes a long way for those two badges. But yeah, just to let everybody know, it is not anything to do with the dribbling though. So for instance, if I come over here, pick the ball up, and I'm over here like dribbling and like do any like big move or anything like that, you don't have to worry about the game being a dribble fest of spamming and stuff like that. It is going to be burning adrenaline for anything that you do normally with the dribbling, but again, with the ball not in your hand on offense, you can now move around at any speed, any rate that you would like to do, and don't even have to worry about adrenaline being lost, which makes a lot of sense. Defense can do the exact same thing, so it only makes sense for offense to be like that as well. Also, real quick, I just want to go over the notes with you guys, the most important parts of it. We have the gameplay, as you can see, addressed an issue that was preventing custom difficulty levels from working as intended. We have increased the frequency of putback dunks as well to bring them in more in line with expected levels. So this is a big issue that a lot of people had. I know it's not something that's like completely game altering and game changing, but to buff the putback dunks, and I'm assuming Aerial Wizard will now be actually a badge that people run at a decent level, which also helps your alley-oop catching as well. I'm actually already a fan of it, so the fact that it adds a little bit of an extra boost in some aspect, even though I don't do that a whole lot, it's still a really cool thing as an addition. And I need to get better at putback dunks as well. I just need to understand when to do them and all types of stuff like that. But anyway, adrenaline boost usage has been disabled when sprinting off ball when on offense. That is huge. I have another one that's actually pretty interesting right here too though. Adjusted the logic for body up animations to improve their reliability in expected circumstances. This to me, from a face value, means clamps buff. That's what it means to me. It might not mean it directly, it might not mean the badge directly, but the animations itself of actually getting cutoffs and body ups and stuff like that at least makes it sound like this is the case. Alright, so next up we have a couple things that are dealing with like the city, pro-am, rec, theater, stuff like that. The second one I want to talk about, because I did notice when I made the video talking about the best VC methods, I kind of mentioned that the daily pick'ems and stuff like that would be something you could rely upon. Then I come to find out when the season starts, I couldn't even actually access the daily pick'ems. It literally just wasn't even popping up. So it is now working properly as far as this shows. Also, for PlayStation players, I know this was apparently a really big deal. The squad invites notification will now correctly appear when received. Apparently that wasn't the case on PlayStation, or at least P5, P4 type stuff like that. I haven't really had that issue on Xbox at all, to be honest, but that is something that apparently the PlayStation players were definitely dealing with. Also, in the rec, I have noticed in Season 2, it was here in Season 1, and then in 2 it went away, but the player matchup overlay will now appear as expected during rec intros, so I'm assuming what this means is it actually pops up where you can press the Y button and look at the matchup screens and stuff like that as well, because again, it was a thing in Season 1, then it wasn't in 2, and now it appears to be back in 3, because I guess they just accidentally patched something like 2K always does, but again, I don't want to hate on them too much for this stuff. It is definitely a W update, W patch. Other than that, all that's really left is a bunch of my career stuff where they're talking about like storyline kind of hang-ups and stuff like that that would stop you from progressing in your career. A lot of things to do with the J. Cole, obviously Boz included somewhere in here as well. And then just all types of really miscellaneous things between all the my career stuff, but not really worth talking about. What I want to talk about now is how this affects the meta of the game and what I'm expecting from gameplay and builds and badge loadouts and stuff like that. Alright, so let's talk about the two badges that I actually feel like this impacts the most. It's going to be slippery off-ball and off-ball pest. Not to mention probably interceptor a little bit as well, but I think that's already kind of a thing that isn't really adjusted too much. I would say that's probably not super impacted by this patch, but nonetheless, these are both the badges that require the absolute least requirements to be able to run. Off-ball pest only requires 65 perimeter defense, and slippery off-ball only requires 70 mid-range or three-pointer to get both of them at the Hall of Fame level. Not to mention, on nearly every build in the game, correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe literally every height in the game, Slippery Off-Ball and Off-Ball Pest are both tier 1 badges. So this is gonna be something that's actually pretty reasonable to run now with the budgeting. I will say, like beforehand, I was like, man, there is no point of off-ball movement in this game. Everybody may as well just be a spot up, standing still, watch the two people work the pick and roll and stuff like that. You will now see so much more motion offense between whether it's rec and not only seeing 5 out constantly, and then on top of that too with Pro-Am, not only see the 2-man pick and roll game and everybody else just kind of standing still. I will say though, Claymore is still a very good badge. I've been trying this out in some gameplay and stuff like that. It is really, really killer. It is a huge thing. I will say this probably sees a little bit of a decrease in terms of its usage just because people may be moving around a little bit more off ball. As far as my impressions on how this actually changes builds a little bit too, I will say this actually brings like Pierce Arps a little bit back to life. Having that Hall of Fame limitless range could go a long way, paired with obviously, like I said too, like Hall of Fame catch and shoot, Agent 3, all types of stuff like that, all being combined in terms of just the fading, the catch and shooting, the catch, run, and fade again, stuff like that as well. It could go a long way, for sure. As far as the off-ball pest, I do think this is a little bit more important to just have, not really as a counter to Slippery Off-Ball, because as you can see, it does say matchups don't get their ankles broken as often. Obviously, this means that you're not getting beat by the Slippery Off-Ball moves as much with the right stick movement. We'll kind of lab that stuff out. I'll definitely have to see how it works, and we'll see. I don't know, maybe people start running Off-Ball Pest even more. I definitely recommend this for corner spot-up defenders where you're maybe a point guard that has to deal with it, or for that matter too, if you're defending like shooting guards and you're intending to do that, I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna have to deal with a lot of wraps, a lot of two-steps, a lot of dexes and stuff like that in the Pro-Am and the Rec Center. Like two-step means you're faking a wrap and running back the other way. If you don't know, wrap in general just means you're running across the wing. But nonetheless, I do think this update actually does provide a lot of reasoning to at least try these badges out. I mean, at the end of the day, running on bronze, you could literally just run bronze Slippery Off-Ball, bronze Off-Ball Pest, and it's only 1 badge point. It doesn't really hurt your badge counts that much. I'm going to be doing that myself between the defensive stuff. I, on most of my builds, have 0 shooting badges, so I can't even run Slippery Off-Ball. I might mess around and put that 1 extra shooting on, though. We could get some clutch shooter. We get like the Slippery Off-Ball cord and then get bronze clutch shooter as well. A little 2-for-1 deal, but anyway, I will definitely be running some bronze, silver, gold-ish off-ball pest. I also just think in general, I've been sleeping on this badge a little bit. Like, this could be really good just in general with the double pick and roll defenders that we do in Pro-Am, where I'm planning to play a lot of sides with 269s on the PNRD, where really you can like grab and tug like the pick and roller when he's like going on those slips and stuff like that too. It does go a long way, and this paired in with, again, wing defenders and stuff like that in the rec, you definitely want to have this on if you're playing with randoms, because you're gonna be playing a lot of man. Obviously you can't just sit there and play zone all day if you're playing with randoms, or for me, I also just load in with subs and don't really do too much talking as far as the defense stuff, so we just play man, simple as that. I'll be really curious to see how this impacts me playing like rec runs with subs, because what I've been able to do is just load in with my non-shooting build and have everybody just space out. We 5 out, 2 wings, 2 corners, simple as that, and we just play man D 24/7. And I just kind of carry the team a little bit and hit people when they're open. But with this stuff, I'm not gonna lie, it makes it a lot easier to box in offense and make it harder. And then for us, if we're playing man defense too, all across the board, it's gonna be a lot tougher to defend people and just running around with them, defending cuts, all types of stuff like that. Lots of off-ball movement that is still keeping their adrenaline not lost. So I will expect that zone becomes a really, really heavy meta in rec, 100%. This is a little bit of a downside, I would say, to the randoms and the casuals, because this is really going to be annoying if you're loading in there playing man and then you're going against zone teams and stuff like that, and then your off-ball movement's getting kind of like put in the dirt a little bit just by the fact that people don't have to run across the whole court guarding people. You can kind of just zone things off and switch here and there. So I don't know, that's probably the one L to this update, is that obviously it's going to mean more zone in the rec. But anyway, my last impression on what I expect to see as well, when it comes to Team Pro-Am, when you're watching the videos that are from me, expect a whole lot more off-ball movement now. The fact that we have had like 3 ball handler options between me as a slasher and then 2 other off-ball like ball handlers too, whether it's a small point guard or just a regular like PNR point guard or anything like that, between the 6'8", 6'9" that we run, 6'1s, all types of stuff like that. You're going to see so much more off-ball movement, so much more play calling. There's going to be all types of stuff like that, so definitely stay tuned for that as well. But anyway, that's about it for the video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, for to drop a like, sub if you're new to them, notice. floaties, all that good stuff. And like always, try to 2,000 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put patch or put 3 in the comments so it supports me all the way through. Let me know what you guys have as far as feedback or thoughts on this update and patch. I don't really think there could be a whole lot of negative like talk about it unless you are one of the wreck dudes that load in on your own. And again, that's just kind of a tough situation. I would recommend to just run off-ball pest if you do that though, because you're probably playing a lot of man. You're going to be fighting through, following your guy and stuff like that, and you can't really just zone things off. Again, that is probably the one downside, but if you are anybody in this game besides that, whether you're a Pro-Am player, Park player, 3s, 2s, like 2s players probably love this. You can do all types of dexing and stuff, off ball, faking, like, you know, like running up and then dex back to the corner without burning adrenaline. You can sprint now to actually just get the ball. Pro-Am, that's really convenient too for the side outs and the baseline inbounds and stuff like that, and spawning away from where the inbound is and you have to press up on it super hard. It's really convenient for that. Again, just like running to get the ball on inbounds is huge, and just off-ball movement in general. I think it's a really good patch, really good update. I'll have to let you guys know as far as the body up bumps and the clamps animations and stuff like that. Not to mention, I was going to show some gameplay, but I don't think this video needs to be that long. Where long story short, I am now trying the box out assist strength on 0 instead of 50. I've had it on 50 all year because I never want to change my like controller settings at the menu. I just want to do it when I load up the player. Now that they actually save, I can just change it and never have to worry about it. And now I'm going to play around with the box out assist strength a little bit. This is me on 0 right here, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I'll pull up a couple rebound clips for you guys. And you know, there's not a whole lot to talk about with it. It's really as simple as this. I go and hold LT. The game doesn't really like glitch me into the box out as much. I'm able to just play the area that I was intending to do in the first place. It's not as much like read and like react to where the game does for you. You can actually just kind of do as you do, so to say, with the box outs. I think keeping it at 0 is really ideal. It's where I'm going to be planning to do it myself personally. I don't really care for the game like doing things for me a lot. I like the defensive assist to be 0. I like the box out assist 0. You have way more control over everything you do if you ask me when it comes to that. But nonetheless, again, really good rebounding game right here. I would show more, but it's not really worth. I'll probably talk a whole nother video about like box out assist strength and stuff like that, but it's huge. I actually am a huge fan of this. And there's other things too, like I can turn off the pass, like the icon lead passing now as well, which was really annoying. If you're holding your stick forward, it'll lead people forward as well. So if you're throwing outlets on the fast break or something like that and you're running up the court, you're gonna lead them toward the baseline and out of bounds on those as well. So being able to turn that off goes a long way. And it's just an enjoyability factor that is now added to the game, and not having to deal with all this BS of loading that up every single time, changing controller settings down like to shot meter off, assist strength all the way off, all types of stuff like that you'd have to deal with. It's big W update. But anyway, that's all for the vid. Hope you all enjoyed. And that, take these, man. Peace.